And everybody, thank you so much for joining. So the purpose of this call is to discuss the feature handsets. Josh is from Sonim. He is our partner, and he will be going through a presentation to answer any questions that you have. If you do have your device with you, it would be great to follow along. We'll talk a little bit about the keys, a little bit about the feature functionality, and we'll be able to go through and answer any live questions that you have. I'll be monitoring the chat. With a group this size, I believe that chat questions would probably be the best way to make sure we answer all of your questions. If you look in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you will see a little bubble. It is a chat bubble. If you'd like to open that chat and just make sure you click to everyone, or you can send me a private message if you feel more comfortable, there is that option as well. So I'm going to just say hello in the chat. So you should see a little one pop up of the bubble, or at least a notification that there is a question in the chat. And before we start, I will ask if there are any questions.
Nicole, it's Josh. I actually have a question up front. I know we want to do a high-level overview of the XP5S. Are they using EPTT as well? Because if they are, I can do a live demonstration of that too.
Yep, so I think we definitely want to do that. We sent them, I don't know if you recall, but we did send them the EPTT setup guide for the Sonim.
Oh, that's right,
so, Yep, so this is that same user base that's going to be using the EPTT function. So yes, please make sure to include a live demo.
Okay, I can do that.
All right, Josh, so without further ado, I will hand it over to you.
Well, before I get going, I know that our sales director, Jim Daly, is on the line, so I always like to let him take the reins first and do an intro, and we'll go from there. Jim?
Hey, thanks, Josh. Hey, Nicole, thank you and team for allowing us to come on and provide the training on the XP5S. Thank you, everyone, for your business. We very much appreciate it. So Josh and I work attached at the hip, if you will. I handle everything on the sales side, and then Josh definitely handles everything after the sale as the heavy lifting comes in to make sure that we make everything set up to make sure that you're a very happy customer and have the best end user experience possible with our XP5S handset, right? And especially when it comes to push to talk. So without further ado, I'll just turn it over to Josh and let him go ahead and take it away. Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Jim. So as Jim said, my name is Josh Meinhardt. I am a regional field manager on the customer experience team here at Sonim. And as Jim mentioned, where my team kind of comes in and fits in, we do handle everything outside the sales process. So we work with our carrier partners and our customers to do pre-deployment work. So where we can help, come up with designing the device, or what we call the golden image, with the way we want the device to look. We actually help with deployment planning. In most cases, where, like right now, I've got some devices sitting across my desk right now that I'm programming for another customer. Then we actually help plan the deployment training, such as like what we're doing right now. And then also we follow up post-deployment as well. So we're here with you every step of the way, pre-deployment all the way through after the deployment. So if there's anything after, the devices have been in your hands, even if it's months, feel free to reach out to myself and my team. We're here for tech support reasons and to help, if we need to make any adjustments to your setup. So without further ado, we're here to talk about the XP5S. So basically what my goal is today is to give you guys a high level overview of the device itself, kind of touch on what the different buttons are and everything like that. And then I have this fun little app on my laptop called Visor that I'll just give you a little bit of a preview. I can bring up the display of my phone so we can actually do a live walkthrough. So as Nicole mentioned before, if you have your device there, it'd be a good idea to have it in your hand. So that way, if you have any questions, we can actually walk through those questions live and in front of you as if we were doing this face to face. Because, in this COVID world, we're forced to do things from a distance now. So this is a nice little tool for that. So diving right into the XP5S. First and foremost, we are the world's most rugged Band 14 devices. So what that means is I'm sure you guys have heard this, you guys have access to the FirstNet network, which makes sure that you're going to have service at all times. You're going to have the best service, even in emergency situations. You're going to be guaranteed to have service across the country. So our devices are all certified for that. And you've got a device in your hand that's the most rugged in the world with that certification. We are military spec. We are waterproof and dustproof, and we have no problem saying waterproof. We've had a customer with our smartphone, actually our newest smartphone. They lost it off of a boat off the East Coast, and it was found a couple of months later, and they brought it back into their offices, dried it off, threw some power into it, powered it on, and it's still functioning today. So we have no problem saying waterproof. Wow. We are dustproof as well. We are Class 1, Division 2, and 3, what's called non-incendive. This may or may not ever come into play in your life, but our devices are designed to be in areas where explosive gases may be present in the air. So just feel comfortable that these devices are certified for all kinds of stuff. So we have ultra loud audio communication speakers. What that means is on the front of the device down here, you have 2 speakers that are designed to be north of 100 decibels in volume. We've designed our speakers that way so that you can hear our devices over a running fire engine. And I'm sure that you can imagine if you can hear a device over a fire engine that's running next to you, you're pretty much guaranteed to never miss a call or a push to talk call. So we have dedicated glove friendly buttons. So not only on the front of the device, let me back up a little bit. This is a candy bar phone at the end of the day. And I'm sure everyone on this call has probably used one of these back in either the late 90s or even early 2000s. The beauty and the bad about a candy bar phone is that they don't change much. It's beautiful because I know it's probably been a while since most of you used a device like this, so they don't change much. So operationally, they're going to be about the same. The bad thing is they don't change much. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But we've got these nice large tactile buttons that stick up off the face of the device very nicely. You've got your directional pad here in the middle with an enter key in the center. We've got your send and end buttons here, just a traditional send and end like we used to have on flip phones and bar phones. We have what we call on our side of the fence, the hamburger button. This is going to be your menu key up here. So whenever you're in an application or you're using an application, if you press the menu key, that's going to open up the menu within that application, like push to talk, which you'll see later. This center button, this is the square of squares. This is your application tray. So if you think about your smartphone, if you're on an Android, you slide up from the bottom. If you're on an iPhone, your apps are just kind of all there. But if you press this button here in the middle, that's going to open up the application tray on the phone. And actually, I can demonstrate that really quickly now that I'm here. So if I press that center button, I know you guys can't see me physically press it, but I'm going to open up all the applications on my device. And then if I press my menu key, there I've got my menu from within those applications. So that's where those 2 buttons are going to come into play. And then over here on the right-hand side, this back arrow, that's a back button. You press that one time, it takes you back one spot in the device itself. So those are those keys up here. And then C is clear. So on older phones, it used to be like a delete key. So if you're in a text message or if you're doing something or typing in a web address, if you guys have access that way, if you use the C button, that'll clear out any text that you've gotten there. So that's your physical keyboard here. On the side of our phone, on the left-hand side, you've got your volume rockers up and down. But then here in the middle, this large gray key is your push-to-talk key. That is going to make things nice and easy for when you need to communicate really quickly. You'll be able to just press and hold this just like you would any old walkie-talkie back in the day, open a channel up, and communicate to either a single person or a team, which we'll go over here in a little bit. And last but not least, on the right side of the phone, we've got our red emergency button. And out of the box, this is designed for 911. So if you press and hold this down for about 3 seconds, it takes about 3 seconds, so you're not going to accidentally do it. The device is going to pop up and ask you if you want to dial 911, which you then can dial or not. So those are the physical keys on the device. Jumping back to number 4, we have what we call dual shift battery life batteries. On paper, you can see here that it's just under a 3,200 milliamp hour battery, which will give you 25 hours of talk time, 25 days of standby. I like to give people real world scenario. Utilizing an XP5S, you guys, I can tell you that my smartphone, my XP8, I only charge twice, maybe 3 times a week. With the amount of use I can kind of guess you guys are going to have out of these, a day and a half to 2 days, maybe even 3 days, I can easily see happening. So again, you just feel comfortable that you're going to have a device that's going to last a long time for you guys. And if you forget to charge it one night, probably won't be a big deal. You'll probably come back in and notice that your battery is still at least 50% or so. So we have two different proprietary connectors on the device. We have one on the top, which is our expand connector, which I'm going to leave that one alone because more than likely you guys won't see any of those accessories. But number 7 is our audio accessory, and I want to focus on that one. If the school decides that you guys need accessories like earpieces or hand mics or anything like that, this is going to be where those things connect into. And we, just like we make and design the world's most rugged devices, the accessory partners that we work with, we expect them to kind of do the same thing. So all of our accessories that you're going to find that connect to the XP5S, you're going to notice that there's 3 different ways they connect. There's 2 little plastic pieces that snap into place. But then here in the middle, if you pick your XP5S and you look at it really closely, you're going to notice that it's threaded. That's because all of our accessories come with a threaded screw in the middle of it. Generally speaking, guys, if I was doing this training in person, usually whoever's sitting in the first couple rows freaks out because I'll take one of my devices and I'll swing it over my head like a helicopter with one of our mics attached to show just how strong that is. And I only emphasize that just again so you guys understand that, you know, if you are utilizing an accessory with one of our devices, it is going to be an accessory that's going to be as tough as the device itself. So again, just feel comfortable if you're using one of those. It's going to be there when you need it. And then last but not least, what's on here or that's not on this screen is if you take your device and you flip it up and look at the bottom, if you haven't done so yet, you're going to see a little cover down here. That cover goes over the USB-C charging port. It is a standard USB-C. Now, we always suggest using our chargers. However, if you'd like to use, if there's Samsung chargers or any other chargers out there that are USB-C, you can use a standard USB-C. Now, a question that comes up about the charging port and about the connecting ports up here is are there covers for these, and is the device still waterproof if this cover over USB-C is not sealed? The answer is yeah, the phones are designed to be waterproof and dustproof even with these open. On the sides, there are no covers. The bottom, if the cover comes off for the USB-C port, that really has to do with that Class 1 Division 2 non-incentive rating I was talking about for the explosive gases. So again, if something does happen to that, or if it does drop in water with that port open, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you don't charge it until that port is dry. So let me pause there for a second and see if anybody's got any questions about the device yet. Wait, I saw a question. Nicole, did you see what happened in that box? I don't have access to it in presentation mode.
No, I was just about to say that I would say we just want to make sure that when we cover everything that we're talking about how we access contacts, talk groups, and things part of the EPTT. So now that we've kind of gone through the device talk points, obviously that it's rugged and showing the points of the buttons of the phone, I think we'd like to spend the rest of the time working on showing people how to maneuver through the device and use the EPTT function.
Sure, I can do that. I will skip the rugged performance standards and we will go right into that. So like I said before, guys, as you can see, this is a live version of my phone. And right now, this actually, it's beautiful. I just had to do an update to my device. So you guys are this is actually gonna be from the beginning, right? So if you haven't done this yet, Nicole, let me ask you first. Were these devices set up by you guys? Was EPTT all accepted and everything by you guys before they went out?
We did not set them up. They were, but they did. We should go through this if people haven't set them up. I would, Matt, have you gone through each of them and set them up and confirmed that the contacts were on there, or do we need to go through that?
I created the contact lists, like the group sets, the talk groups, and I have all that out there. I'm pretty sure everybody has that information on their radios at this time. I haven't heard about anybody not having anything that I put out there.
Okay, so then let me just ask this question just to make sure. Anybody that's on this call right now, when you pick up your XP5S, there's 2 different ways to get into push to talk. The one way is to hit that top center key, the application button, and look for this icon and tap it. The other way is on the left-hand side of the phone to press the push to talk button. Is there anyone on the call that when they open up push to talk, that they are not seeing a contact list like this, that it's asking you to accept permissions or an end user license agreement?
No, it works.
No, I set up every phone, each one.
Okay, cool. I'll take silence as a no.
Right.
Okay. So first thing first, like I said, there are two different ways to get into push to talk, either pushing the push to talk button or going into the application tray and selecting AT&T EPTT. Once you are in the push to talk application, the main home screen, this is going to be your contact list. This is going to be pre-populated by your admin. This is all done from what's called a corporate administration tool. So this should all be pre-populated for you. Over here on the left, this icon up here, this is going to be your recent history. So think about this no different than you do your recent calls on your personal cell phones. So anytime that you place a call, oh, we got a question. Gina's asking if we're supposed to have contacts already. I'm going to leave this up.
Yeah, Gina, you should have contacts on the phone.
It says no contacts, so I'm not sure.
All right, I'll go into the corporate administration tool and take a look at that.
Yeah, if anybody else on the call doesn't have contacts, please raise your hand or speak up so we know. Okay.
You can actually, if you click on your name and you right click on your name, you can hit raise hand, and I'll try to monitor that from the group if there is something that you'd like to ask live, or again, you could put it in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Jim went ahead and called me, and he didn't speak or anything, but he called me real quick. So now you guys can see that in my recent history that I've got a call here. So that shows Jim, and if I click on it, I can, or if I select him, I can call him back. I can share with Jim. I can share an alert. I can share text. I can share location, all that stuff. And we'll get into that here in just a second. So again, guys, this icon right here, this is going to be for one-to-one calling. So anytime you want to make a call to one single person, then you can highlight that person and you can press the push to talk button. Hey, Jim, just doing a quick radio check.
Copy that, copy that. Test.
All right. So if I want to end that, I just hit the end button on the device, but you guys can see how quickly I can do a one-to-one call. If I need to do a quick one to a couple, just because I'm here, I can highlight a couple people, and I'm just going to use both of Jim's phones because they're here. Now, if I press that button, check, Jim, let's do another one.
Copy that.
So you guys can notice that down here, I've actually sent that message to both of Jim's phones. So if you need to make a quick call to a couple of people, you just multi-select, right? So you multi-select these couple of people that you want to call. That's a quick group. This icon over here, this is going to be for your set groups that are set up to the account. Oh, wait. Let's see. How do you disable the lock screen feature when you first open the phone? So I'll pause there. So Tony, Troy, what you're going to do is in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to press the star key for about 2 seconds and then let go, and that'll unlock your device.
But is there a way to not have that on there? Because sometimes I find it's easier to just pick up the phone, hit the button, and call out as opposed to having that extra step. Is there a way to get rid of that?
Yeah, there is. I'll tell you what, let me hold off on that for a few minutes. I'll walk through that in the settings. Don't let me forget, but let me finish with push to talk, and then we'll go through that as well. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So next to your individual contacts, you've got your groups, right? So these are going to also be pre-populated by your admin, or they should be. Okay. So in here, this is going to be your one-to-many call. So if you need to, if you have a group of people that you talk to on a regular basis, you come in, select that group, and again, just press the push to talk button on the side of the device, and it'll make a phone call or a push to talk call. Same thing. And then let me wait till that call ends. And then last but not least, up here, we have starred contacts. So this is going to be if you have favorite contacts. So if you go into an individual, if you have somebody you talk to on a daily basis, and you press the menu key, you can come in There's a couple other things that, well, no, hang on. I got to open him up. Sorry. I'm in the wrong menu. Sorry, guys. But you can, so think about your starred contacts as no different as you would your starred contacts on your personal device. So when you come into favorite contacts, you can add favorites from here by hitting the menu key. And what you would do is you'd select the contacts that you want to have in there. And once you add them, I'll just do one. I'll add Jim. If I add Jim, save. Now, in my favorite contacts, Jim is there. So instead of having to go to my contact list and search through my whole list, I just have to come over to my favorite contacts, and there's Jim. So let me pause for a second. Any questions about what we've gone over so far?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So if I click like my favorite contacts, like I primarily speak to the same 3 people and they're clicked, like they're in a group and they're checked off, does it save that setting? So every time I go onto my device, I'm still communicating with the same 3 people or the same group that I had checked off?
So that a quick group will end up here in your recents, but it doesn't save as a group.
So if I want to contact them again, I have to click their names and then push to talk again. Like there's no way to keep that group as my primary group. Like if I'm an emergency and I want to just push to talk, do I have to check who I'm looking to push to talk to? It won't save that setting as like almost like a default.
So that is a setting that we're going to get into here in a second, which I'll dive into right now. Actually, that is called one touch action. So basically when you create a group like that, it's going to save in your recent history. But if you want to have a group permanently, you can come into your groups and you can hit your menu key and you can hit new group, and then you can create the group. So if you have those 3 people that you talk to on a regular basis, you can do that. Okay. And then you go into, it's into settings. From here, once you create that new group, you go into settings and just follow along real quick. We're going to go down until we see what's called one touch action. And if I open one touch action, you'll see here, I have the ability to call the most recent, to call a contact, to call a group, or go to a landing page. So in your case, once you create that group, you can come into one touch action, click on call group. You can then select the group that you want to have called every time that you press that button. And then anytime you press that button, as long as the device is unlocked, it will call that group.
Okay.
Now, if you want the push to talk to work, even if the screen is locked, we marry this setting to call from lock screen. So normally these settings go hand in hand. So what we would do is, if I check this box, you'll see I got to check a splash screen. It says turning this on will allow anyone to initiate a PTT call while the phone is locked. That you want if you just want to be able to pick up your phone in an emergency and press that button. If I click yes, then when my device is even locked sitting on my desk, if I press that push to talk button, it opens a channel. If this is not checked, then you just have to unlock your device, press that button one time, and it'll open up a channel to those 3 people that you were mentioning. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and that goes for anybody on the call. If you need to create groups or contacts of your own, you can do that on your device. Or if you have a specific group of people that you talk to, if your admin doesn't create the group, but here's the caveat. If you create the group on your device, that group doesn't show up, and I'm just gonna use your example that you ever spoke up. It doesn't show up on the other 3 people's phones. It'll show up in their history, but it won't show up as a group inside this group icon. If you want a group or something to go global, then you need to speak with an admin, have an administrator create that group and push it in here. Otherwise, the person who creates this group will own it, and the other people in that group will only see it in their call history. Or they can create a group just like yours. So if the 4 of you are in a group all the time, then each one of you can create a group with the 3 other people, and it'll show up on your individual phones.
Okay. So if that group is already created, we just go through the steps that you showed us earlier, where we select the group, we check it from that call from the lock screen. We do the same process. Okay.
Yep. Here, I'll show you real quick. So I'm just, again, because I've got Jim on here, I'm going to create a new group. I'm going to call it test group. Come on. Test group.
Your stuff later. What? I'll pick up your stuff later.
Someone's not on mute. I've got Jim, both of Jim's phones selected. I hit the menu key, and I hit OK. And I hit the menu key, and I hit save. And now you can see I got this test group. So now if I want to make them if I want to make them my one touch, I hit the menu key again. I go to settings. I go to one touch action. I go to call group. I'm going to select the group I just created. Now that's my one touch action. Now let me show you the difference. If my phone is unlocked, even if I'm on my home screen, if I press my button, hey Jim, just checking. You can see it comes through.
Copy that.
But here's the difference. If I lock my screen, which I might have mine turned off on this device because it's a test device. Yep, I can't lock my screen right now. I have it turned off. So anyway, if your screen is locked, that won't happen. Yes.
Yeah, so let's just make sure that they understand how to lock and unlock, right? So at the bottom of the phone on the keypad, there is a little lock button, and that will prevent that pocket dialing. So you hold it down, I believe it's 3 seconds to lock and 3 seconds to unlock. So can we just make sure if there's another way to do that, can you let the team know? But ultimately, I want to make sure they know on the XP5Ss how to lock the screen and unlock it.
Sure, no, you're absolutely correct. And to the question that came before, if you want to change that, you use the application button in the top center. Then you're going to go into settings, and then we're going to come down to security and location where it says screen lock. Up here at the top, see how mine says none? If you select that, you can either select press and hold the star key, or you can put a pin on there as well if you'd like. So if I select press and hold the star key and I go back to my home screen, now you guys can see that my screen is locked. See, I couldn't do that before because I had none. And now if I try to call Jim, it doesn't work. I'm pressing I know you guys can't see me, but I'm pressing my button, it doesn't work. And then to unlock, I press and hold for 3 seconds and I'm unlocked. Then to reverse the process if I want, again, settings, I'm gonna go down to security and location and screen lock. And then again, it's none, star key, or pin. It's up to you.
Yeah, and as Josh may have mentioned earlier, the idea behind the lock, some people have a preference and like the lock and some don't. But what it does do is it keeps everybody from going and grabbing the handset and hit the push to talk key and then opening the floor, and then everybody can hear what you're saying into that group. So it's important to know, how you want to use the lock or not. So, okay. Hey, Josh, while you're there on One Touch, it might not be a bad idea just to make sure that everybody knows in push to talk, there is speed dial for your individual phone, and it'll give you 1 through 20 numbers, so you don't have to go in the phone book directory to look anybody's number up. So after you have the phone for a couple of weeks, you know who 1 through 10 is. You can just press the number and then press the key for push to talk, and then you're talking to that person you talk to on a regular basis.
Nice.
On one-on-one.
No,
or you can do it in a group too.
Nice.
Yeah, no different than a speed dial on your personal device too. So that's in the settings as well. And then down here, just so you guys know, underneath call priority, one touch action call from lock screen, we have your display name. Now this was set up by an admin, but if the device ever changes names, or even if it's in a different person's hands for a day or two, you could change the name on it so that everyone knows that somebody else has that device. And then if for some reason somebody that you need to communicate with from outside of the school system has AT&T enhanced push to talk, all you need is their phone number to be able to add them, to be able to push to talk them. So your PTT number and their PTT number are located in the settings, and that's all you need to be able to add a contact for push to talk purposes now.
Nice.
And to do that, you would just be in your contact list, hit your menu button, do new a contact, and then put a name and a phone number, and then save it, just like you would a contact in your personal directory. One last thing I want to show you guys right now here. I know that mine might look a little different than yours, so yours will look like this originally. So anybody that you see that has an X next to their name is offline, not available, and then anybody that has a filled-in dot is available. So an easy way to cut that down, if you don't want to be able to see everybody, is to hit the menu key, come down and click on hide offline. And that'll take everyone that's offline out of your contact list.
Nice.
Yeah, Matthew, we'll run through that in just 1 second. So this can help shrink down your contact list and make it easier to find people that are available. All right, Matthew. So to get into your settings, you're going to come back over your groups, click your menu, go down to settings, and then scroll down until you see speed dial. And then when you're in speed dial, you select the one that you want to assign, come in, and you can assign that person to speed dial, just like you would on your personal device speed dialing.
And then to call them using speed dial, what do I do once they're in there?
Should just be, give me 1 second.
Just click 0 and then the push to talk button.
Yeah, hang on. I'm holding it down too long. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Copy that.
Did you get that, Matthew?
It's really easy. By the way, are these shared devices, or is everybody assigned a device? Cool.
Everybody's assigned, for the most part, everybody's assigned a device. Okay. And yeah, I got the thanks for the speed dial thing. I got that. Awesome.
Yeah, it works well because, you'll get 10 numbers that you're talking to somebody one-on-one, if you want to, and it makes it easy. And you can assign it to a particular group. So if you have 3 people that you're talking to and you just want it hit 2, and 2 is the group, then you're good to go.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that'll be a big one for us.
All right, so another thing that you can do, you guys notice up here, and when I'm in my recents, I have the My Status bar. If I go up into that and I click on that, I can set myself to Do Not Disturb. So maybe you're in a meeting with somebody. Maybe you're going to lunch and don't want to be disturbed. Whatever the case may be, you can go into your recents, and up at the top, you can set yourself to Do Not Disturb, and that will take me offline. So if somebody tries to call me right now, what'll happen is they'll get a tone that tells them I'm not available. Now they'll have the ability to leave me a voicemail if they want, but then when I bring myself back online, I would get messages that come through. So you can do that. And then we're not going to do Andreas. We're going to go back to Jim just to pick on him. So also in here, you'll notice this icon right here. This is a volume. This is your speaker to earpiece.
Check.
Go ahead and do it again, Jim. I know you guys probably couldn't hear that. So what this does, if you wanted to have a private call, if you don't want to have those calls over the speaker, like if you're having a private one-to-one, if you flip this switch off, this will go into earpiece mode, and then you'll only be able to hear that call through the earpiece. Another thing that can happen is if you're somebody that puts your phone into vibrate mode, and you'll notice this automatically goes to earpiece mode. So if your device is in vibrate mode, you could potentially be missing calls because this will go automatically into earpiece mode. Now you can turn it on speaker if you want, But just keep in mind, if you go into vibrate, this will automatically be on earpiece. You can go as little as 1 notch up and put it back on speaker. But just keep that in mind that if you feel like you're missing calls or something, if you look down and you look at your device and you notice that you're in vibrate, that would be why you're not hearing calls. That's an important thing. This is probably the number one reason that customers call into our customer experience center and say that they're not getting push-to-talk calls. In reality, they are. They're just not hearing them because they put their phone in vibrate. Can additional apps like email be added? Yes and no. On an XP5S, you can always log into email if you guys, and Nicole, you probably be better answer this. I don't know if they have access to the web or what they have access to. But James, I'm just going to say that your experience using email on an XP5S is going to be less than desirable. All right, what kind of questions we have next, guys?
I'm good, and I'm going to hop out here. Thanks for all the info. Very helpful.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So Matt, anything from the team that you'd like to have Josh cover before we let everybody go? I know I want to be conscious of time, and thank you, Josh, for presenting and showing us some real life stuff. Is there anything that you think that from a user interface that you'd like to discuss?
No, I think we're pretty good. And to all the Pinelands people on this call, if you guys come up with any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We have a second training session next week for a lot of the users that we didn't get to. So I plan on attending that, and I can ask those questions and get answers for you. So just let me know.
Yeah, and before we go, guys, I want to share this one page with you. I don't have it on my other presentation. I mentioned our Customer Experience Center. Because you guys are FirstNet customers, you know, you guys have access to the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week line from AT&T if you're having network issues. If you're having any device issues, or if you have device questions, any time of day, 7 days a week, you can call 855-FIRST-SONIM or send a quick email to firstcare@sonimtech.com, and you'll have people that work for Sonim that have Sonim devices in front of them able to answer your calls, and they have access to all the same materials that we do. So, you know, if you can't get a hold of me or Jim and you have a question, or heck, if it's a Sunday and you're messing with your device and you have a question, you can always reach out to our Customer Experience Center. They're located in Sarasota, Florida, and they can get you taken care of. So you guys have access to this as well.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions that just came in the chat. So one of the things is email, right? So these are just basic phones with only the PBT service included on them. They do not have any other apps that would be usable. So there's no making calls, no receiving calls, and no text messages. It's a straight just an EPTT application. So there wouldn't be any additional access at this time. If that changes down the road, of course, we can evaluate that for you. But I wanted to answer that question. And if you could, Josh, within the EPTT application, there is a way to share photos. Could you show that for them so that they understand if there is a photo sharing that you'd like to do, how you would do that?
Yeah, on an XP5S, I don't know that we can do that on XP5. Jim, can we do that on XP5S? I've never shared a picture on XP5S.
Yeah, I think you do it where share is, where you go to share.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right there.
Hang on, let me bring it back up.
Yeah,
yep, there we go. Gonna click on share, and then we can do a text. We can actually, well, you can text from within the push-to-talk application. You can share your location, or you can share an image or a video. And I mentioned voice message earlier. So James, this might be a place that you need to know. So when you're in the contact, you hit the menu button and then click on share. And here's all your options on what you can share.
Awesome.
This is all done within the application.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And James, like I said before, personally, I don't know that I'd even want to consider using email on an XP5S on that little 2-inch screen. Now I happen to still use I'm an old school guy. I still use T9, so I'd probably be okay. but most people these days don't use T9. That might be that'd be a long time typing out a message.
You know, and quite honestly, the texting piece of that, you know, it's triple tap, and it just becomes problematic with everybody that's used to their own personal smartphones. And T9 can also, you know, the way it's set up in there, you know, it starts predicting words. It gets very problematic.
Yeah, I mean, so again, I started I've been in IT and tech support in some form or fashion in every company I've worked for most of my life, and I can tell you that even on my iPhone, and my personal XP8, I actually still use T9. So if I were to text Jim, I'm still pretty decent at it, except for I spelled how are you doing wrong.
All right. So I'll ask if there's any final questions before we let the team go. It sounds like we can, Matt, if you agree, everybody should be comfortable being able to use talk groups, being able to send and receive messages. If anybody doesn't have their contact in the phone, to reach out to you, and we'll just make sure that we don't have to edit your particular line. The other one thing that I will say is if anybody has experience back in the old Nextel days where they use the point-to-point communication, your number is your unique identifier. So if you ever are looking to, and I don't know if this would be any sort of collaboration, maybe there might be something happening in the school where you have maybe somebody from public safety on site. They actually can use your phone number if they have EPTT to find you. And to be able to use that point-to-point communication. So this system will let you create a phone number and create an actual person to talk to outside of your space that has EPTT, right? It won't be a phone, it won't be a text message, but if they do have enhanced push-to-talk, there is that layer of connectivity outside your environment if ever needed to speak with somebody like, for example, public safety or somebody else that might be coming to the school to be able to do that point-to-point communication.
Yeah, and Nicole, so where I showed you guys to find your phone number earlier, once you have that phone number, when you're on the contact list, hit the menu icon, go to new contact, pop their phone number in and put their name in here and then save it, and they will show up in your push-to-talk call list, and then you can start communicating right away. You can communicate with anybody across the country that way, to be honest with you. If they're on AT&T's enhanced push-to-talk and you know their phone number, you can talk to them.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go ahead, Matt. Any questions?
Yeah, no, actually, I got a couple quick questions for you guys. However, if everybody else is good to go, they can log off. So if you guys have questions, you can ask now, or you can reach out to me and I'll find out the answers. Nicole, I got a couple of quick questions for you guys before we finish off.
Matt, one more question.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sorry. So I was the one who asked about, like, once you can lock that screen so that in an emergency, I can just push that button and get to my group. Yep. If I then have to change, like, okay, I need to now call for custodial staff, do I have to uncheck that lock screen that I had checked initially for my primary group?
Well, so I don't take this literally, but this is where that can become a little bit of a pain, because if you have your one touch selected to go to that group, okay, then in the future, if you need to call somebody else from the home screen, if you hit your push to talk button, you'll automatically call your group. So in that instance, you'd have to hit your application button. You'd have to open enhanced push to talk that way, and then either find the person or the group you want and select them and call them.
Okay.
So it's like I said, don't take that literally. It's not a literal pain, but it's kind of a pain, because instead of just being able to press your push to talk button, you have to actually open it. So I know personally, because I'm not really in emergency situations that often, I actually have mine set to go to a landing screen. So when I press my button, it automatically brings me to a landing screen so I can find either a person or a group very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just play with it, test it a couple times, use it for a couple days, and now that you know, you can always change these settings, so feel free to change it how you need to.
Thanks for all the great information.
You're welcome.
All right, then I will have everyone drop, and anybody that needs to stay on, Matthew and team, we will stay on for a few more minutes. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
So I was curious about adding the additional. I'll let everyone drop.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's give it a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Matt, you want me to hang out?
No, you don't have to, James. No, I mean, it's really just a couple quick questions. It was about the admin user page.
Okay.
Really.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you very much.